How much money has Bill Gates spent? Technology innovations are the biggest moneymakers of the 21st century, and if you are in doubt, ask the focus of today's video. For the longest time, the richest man in the world was the man who changed the world of information technology as we know it, and his name is Bill Gates. With a net worth of over $100 billion, Bill Gates has set a standard that only a few have matched. In fact, if Gates decides to spend $1 million every single day, he would still need about 240 years to run through his entire fortune. That's a lot of money to spend, and there's only so much you can buy, so what has he bought and what is the total bill? Well, you won't believe how much one of his wristwatches costs, so keep watching to find out. Today, we're taking a peek into Bill Gates' expenditure to figure out how much he has spent and, of course, how he has made so much money. So let's get straight to it. Early life. Bill Gates was born William Henry Gates III on the 28th of October 1955 to an affluent family in Seattle, Washington. His father was a successful and prominent lawyer, and his mother was a member of the board of directors of the First Interstate Bank. Bill was an exceptional student growing up, and his parents wanted him to pursue a career in law, but there was no pressure. He excelled in mathematics and enjoyed reading more than any other activity. His interests and the fact that he was small for his age set him apart from his peers, and it led to a lot of teasing and name-calling. Although the bullying dented his esteem for a while, Bill soon found a passion that helped him rise above the ridicule. When he was 13 years old, Bill attended Lakeside Preparatory School, a private high school. He was introduced to the world of programming when his school acquired a computer, and with encouragement from the administration, he wrote his first program on the machine. He soon became friends with the late Kent Evans, Paul Allen, and Rick Wieland, who were also students at Lakeside Prep School, and they all shared common interest in programming. The four of them worked on the Computer Center Corporation software after discovering some bugs in the program, and they got paid in computer time and access, which lasted until 1970 when the company closed. Shortly after their deal with the Computer Center Corporation, they got commissioned by the school administration to work on a timetabling program for students and teachers. Bill Gates graduated from Lakeside School in 1973 as a National Merit Scholar with 1590 out of 1600 in his SATs, and later that year, he got admitted to Harvard. Bill enrolled for a pre-law degree, but he took advanced courses in mathematics and computer science. A real genius. By 1975, he and his childhood friend Paul Allen decided to start their own company, and Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. The computer software company was called Microsoft, which is now known as Microsoft Corporation. Microsoft and his rise to wealth. In 1976, after making the decision to officiate their partnership and setting up an office in Albuquerque, Gates and Allen registered the name Microsoft in New Mexico. They continued offering their services to companies nationwide, and by 1979, the company relocated to Bellevue in Washington. Microsoft grew exceptionally with innovative software that led the world of information technology into a whole new light. They sold software products such as MS Basic, MS Pascal, and MS COBOL, and others to different companies and corporate bodies, but piracy took a big chunk of their profits. Still, Bill Gates was undeterred, and eventually developed the Windows operating software, which would bring him to wealth. In 1985, Microsoft secured a deal to work with IBM. They developed the Microsoft Disk operating system for IBM and launched the Microsoft Windows operating system to the public, which created some major competition for Apple. By 1986, when their success went skyrocketing with corporate and industrial customers from all around the world, Microsoft went public. In the same year, the value of Bill Gates' shares in Microsoft amounted to over $1 billion, and he became the world's youngest billionaire in history at the age of 31, a title he held for nearly 2 decades before getting dethroned. But that was only the beginning of his success. By 1990, the Microsoft Corporation launched Microsoft Office, a software which is now one of the biggest ever products to date. The document-focused program brought massive profits to the company and increased the stock value. By 1995, when Windows 95 software got released, Bill Gates had the title of the richest man in the world. 4 years later, in 1999, and his wealth spiked to over $100 billion. Bill Gates continued as an active software developer at Microsoft in its earlier years, but later on his role became more managerial and executive. But he didn't let that stop his diligence and work ethic to ensure that only the premium software got pushed out. By 2000, Bill Gates resigned from his position as CEO and took up the role as the chief software architect. 6 years later, he announced his retirement plans and decided to focus more on philanthropy. and by 2014 he stepped down from his position as chairman. Microsoft's global usage, the stream of software and hardware products they subsequently released, and the ever-rising stocks of the company combined to put Bill Gates in the comfortable net worth of $118 billion. Okay, maybe a little bit more than comfort. And today, Microsoft is still one of the biggest software companies in the world, with its co-founder Bill Gates firmly in the ranking of the world's richest, topped only by Jeff Bezos. Now, with over $100 billion to his name, there's literally nothing on Earth that he can't afford to buy. Wait, he can probably afford a piece of Mars if it is available for sale. Well, it's a lot of money, and there are a lot of options, so what exactly does he spend his money on, and just how much has he spent? How he spends his money. Bill Gates has repeatedly mentioned that he doesn't like the extravagant lifestyle, but some of his purchases definitely tip the edge of modesty. From luxury cars to jaw-dropping real estate, this billionaire has indulged in the comforts of life quite well, if we do say so. Just wait till you find out how he takes care of his favorite tree. Yes, you heard that right, a tree is part of the billionaire's expenses. Bill Gates has so much money that he could give everyone in the world $10 and he would still have enough left over to cater for the rest of his life. So, how has he spent his wealth so far? Let's take a look. Real estate. Like every smart billionaire, the bulk of Bill Gates' expenditure is in his properties, which sum up to several $100 million in real estate, starting with his Xanadu 2.0 estate in Medina, Washington. In 1988, he purchased the lot for $2 million and went on to spend $63 million in 7 years building his dream estate. The property is a 66,000 square foot mansion that overlooks Lake Washington, and it is incredibly high-tech with everything from a sensor system to surround speakers in every wallpaper. The estate has a home theater, a trampoline room, 6 kitchens, 7 bedrooms, 24 bathrooms, and a 2,300 square foot reception hall. The walls carry $80,000 worth of screens that display anything that you want, from a favorite painting to a random photograph. Bill Gates' property has expensive paintings and collectibles, which we'll dive into in a little bit, and a custom garage that can house 23 cars. Oh, remember the tree we mentioned. It is a 40-year-old plus maple tree that sits by the driveway of the mansion. Bill Gates is very fond of it and ensures that the tree is under 24/7 surveillance with his own irrigation system for when it gets dry. All that for a tree. But it's not even the wildest thing. It has also gotten reported that Bill Gates imports sand from St. Lucia in the Caribbean to fill the shore surrounding his house. When you have hundreds of billions, it doesn't seem like a ridiculous possibility. The Xanadu 2.0 mansion is currently worth over $130 million. To the next property on his real estate portfolio, we have the 492-acre Wyoming ranch that Bill Gates bought for $9 million back in 2009. There is also a 4.5-acre ranch in Wellington, Florida, which Bill Gates bought for $8.7 million in 2013. The property has a 12,864 square foot mansion. 3 years later, he reportedly spent $27 million on acquiring other properties within the area, and this included an equestrian estate to support his daughter Jennifer, who is an accomplished horseback rider. But that's only a chip in Bill Gates' fortune. In California, he purchased the 228-acre Rancho Paciana, which has a racetrack, orchard, and 5 barns for $18 million. He and his wife Melinda also spent $43 million on their 5,800 square foot oceanfront home in Del Mar, California. The house has 6 bedrooms, a 10-person jacuzzi, and a lavish swimming pool. In 2013, Bill Gates and some unnamed buyers reportedly paid $161 million to buy the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, and the following year the property was worth $200 million. Also, in true billionaire fashion, Bill Gates has an island in Belize. The private island, which is called the Grand Bogue Cay, is worth about $25 million. Vehicles. Bill Gates' Xanadu 2.0 mansion has a luxurious garage that houses his impressive car collection. According to Bill, his first big splurge after founding Microsoft was his Porsche 911, which got auctioned for $80,000. But that's a ghost of car past, as today his collection includes a 1988 Porsche 959 Coupe, a Jaguar XJ6, a Porsche Carrera Cabriolet 964, and a Ferrari 348, which amassed to nearly $1 million. Bill Gates loves speed and luxury, and his car collection says just that. But those aren't his only vehicles. He also owns a private jet, the Bombardier BD700 Global Express, which costs over $40 million. Art. Back to the topic of real art in Bill Gates' Xanadu 2.0 mansion, he has an impressive collection that includes works by Leonardo da Vinci, Andrew Wyeth, and Winslow Homer. He paid $36 million for Winslow Homer's painting Lost on the Grand Banks in 1988, and he also has George Bellows' Polo Crowd, which he paid $28 million to purchase. In a 1994 auction, he got a Leonardo da Vinci manuscript for $30.8 million, which sits in the estate's 2,100 square foot library. Family and lifestyle. Like we said earlier, you won't believe it, but Bill Gates has a $10 wristwatch because he doesn't believe in spending outrageously on what he wears. Bill Gates is a family man above all else. So while he doesn't necessarily spend a lot of money on his appearance, he has no problem buying nice things for his wife. He took his family on a Mediterranean vacation aboard the 439-foot super yacht Serene, which is rented for about $5 million a week. Investments. Bill Gates is a billionaire that made his wealth through his intelligence, so you can only expect that he is money smart as well. He has several investments in stocks and assets across several industries. In 1995, he founded a holding and investment company called Cascade Investment LLC, through which he owns nearly half of the Four Seasons Holdings hotel chain, which includes hotels in Atlanta and Houston. Bill Gates also has partial ownership of the Charles Hotel in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He launched a $1 billion investment fund for Breakthrough Energy Ventures in 2015, alongside other investors. In 2017, Bill Gates invested $50 million into Alzheimer's research and recently added another $30 million for the Diagnostics Accelerator Fund to aid faster diagnosis of Alzheimer's. He has an estimated worth of $15.4 billion in shares at Microsoft. He also has over $13 billion in cash from his salaries, bonuses, dividends, and so on. Charity. Above all else, Bill Gates spends the majority of his wealth on charitable actions. He started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation alongside his wife, and it is the world's largest private charity foundation. He has donated almost $50 billion through the foundation to organizations around the world, which are coming up with cures, vaccines, and medicines for illnesses and diseases that affect a majority of third world countries. In 2010, the couple also teamed up with Warren Buffett to create the Giving Pledge, which encourages some of the wealthiest people in the world to donate large portions of their wealth to charity. The Gates Foundation partnered with the Chinese Ministry of Health to help fight its tuberculosis epidemic with a $33 million grant in 2009, and in 2016 they partnered with the Dan Goat Foundation, which is in Nigeria, to spend $100 million towards eliminating malnutrition in the country. Bill Gates' charity focuses on reducing childhood death and malnutrition, as well as ending polio. He is also concerned with global warming as one of his primary concerns. Education is another area that interests Bill Gates, and he set up the Gates Millennium Scholars Program, which has received $1.6 billion to date for the funding of students across the globe. How much money has Bill Gates spent? Well, if you take into account the increased value of his real estate properties, cars, arts, investments, and charity funding, it is safe to say that Bill Gates has spent well over $70 billion. That's a lot of money, but when you remember that he still has over $100 billion in his net worth, you realize it's just a chip in the bulk of his wealth. He is, after all, the second richest person in the world. Final thoughts. Bill Gates is a billionaire who has lived a life more fulfilling than most can say that they have. He is a tech genius who invented a program that has made life considerably easy, and he is a full-time philanthropist. Though he takes pleasure in his luxury vehicles and taking care of his precious maple tree, it is undisputed that Bill Gates spends his money quite well. And with $110 billion, there is nothing to do but spend it.